Well, turning now to developments in Japan, which is struggling to restore power to the cooling systems at the crippled Fukushima nuclear power plant. The country's earthquake disaster has claimed over 8,000 lives, but many more are still missing. Police believe up to 15,000 people may have been killed in one prefecture alone. Well, Ivor Bennett is in Nagasaki for RT and joins us live now. Ivor, what progress are nuclear workers making in stabilising the situation at the plant?
They are making some progress, but it's limited at the moment. They have managed to reconnect power cables to reactors number 1 and 2 now, but in the last 24 hours they had hoped to restore power itself, electricity, which they haven't done yet, to the cooling systems. So they can get the cooling systems up and running again and get the temperatures down inside the reactors, because that's the only way it seems they're going to get this situation under control. They haven't been able to do that yet because, well, there's been a lot of damage to the reactors due to the earthquake. The radiation levels they're battling there are very, very high. What's more, it's not guaranteed that if they turn electricity on, the pumps will actually start working again, because it might be damaged. So they're carrying out these checks now to see if the electricity will function properly once they turn it on. So they're being very cautious about that. In the meantime, all they can do is try to keep this situation under control, trying to make it not get any worse than it improving. That's all they can do. So they're continuing to spray water inside the reactors. Last night, the Tokyo Fire Department took part in a 13-hour operation, spraying in 2,000 tons inside reactor number 3 to try and keep the temperature down, because that's all they can do until they have those cooling systems up and running again. Without those, all they can try and do is to stop it from getting any worse. That being said, though, reactor 3 has proved to be very troublesome, and it seems like pressure inside is building once again now, and they're considering having to vent it, which means they'll have to do the controlled release of steam. But with that escape of steam from that inside the reactor is also the escape of radioactive substances. Now, this whole process has been going on for 9 days now. Workers are trying their best, but the public is obviously getting very anxious of radiation spreading as far south as Tokyo. That's the anxiety. They haven't found that yet. But on the streets of Tokyo today, 500 anti-nuclear protesters joined an annual anti-war demonstration with placards calling for the end of nuclear power in Japan. They want all stations shut down after that. They're unlikely to get that demand met, but the Fukushima power plant certainly, once or if it gets under control, that will have to be shut down, because it will. Well, the use of seawater inside the reactors to cool it down has now rendered them useless.
And Ivor, you mentioned radioactive steam there. I mean, where do we stand in terms of radiation leaks? What are the latest indications of how widespread it could be?
Well, today they've actually found traces of radioactive substances, iodine, which is a radioactive fuel used at Fukushima, inside the tap water systems of in 5 neighbouring prefectures to Fukushima and in Fukushima itself. And more worrying perhaps, even traces as far south as Tokyo in the tap water there. Now, these traces aren't harmful yet. The ones in Fukushima are above the permissible level. But what's worrying is that normally there isn't any traces of radioactive iodine, but there are minuscule traces. And also, what's more, this radiation has also spread to food produce from the Fukushima prefecture. Milk and spinach were tested, and they were found to contain harmful levels, or potentially harmful levels, of radiation in them. And if ingested, then it's feared, although the iodine there has a short half-life, it could prove risky to human health, and it could damage the thyroid. Now, in all of this, there hasn't been many success stories, many miracles, but we've had a couple of miracles, you might say, today. 9 days after the earthquake and the tsunami hit the east coast, in the Miyagi prefecture, which was worst hit, 2 people were found, 2 survivors, an 8-year-old woman and a 16-year-old boy, buried amongst the rubble in the town of Ishinomaki. Now, this is considered a miracle, because in this sort of rescue work, it's considered unlikely that you'll find anyone after 72 hours. What's more, it's a 5% chance, it's believed, that you'll find anyone alive after 96 hours. These people have been exposed to the elements, and they've had to bear real horrendous conditions, like very unseasonably wintry conditions there, for over double that. So that's considered a miracle. However, despite that, they still have 12,000 people missing, and now the number of dead continues to rise, and that's now reached over 8,000.
Okay, I will have to leave it there. Thank you very much indeed for that.